Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Do you know how perfect you are? There are three parts to you. You are a spirit, a spark of energy, an infinite, and you're living here in this world in a body, a physical instrument of whatever mind tells it to do, and you have been gifted with an intellect. You are unique. You are special. You are here to create your life. Now, you may believe that there is one God, one creator, but you are here in physical form to move things into physical reality through your actions. And your actions are triggered by what you think and how you feel. You are a unique, special human being. You don't have to be anyone else. But as you develop, you can become the best version of you, just like as you're moving through the phases of life, from infant to small child to teenager to adult to elderly. There is a different version of you all the way along, but you are still the same unique version of you. I'm going to read to you a chapter called Yourself. This is from a deep book called The Hidden Power by Judge Thomas Troward. And Bob Proctor used to talk about this chapter a lot. It's all about yourself. When I first met Bob Proctor in April of 2017, this is the first time I heard this chapter on yourself. And I've read it many times since then. And I want you to think about your life, yourself. Thomas Troward says, I want to talk to you about the livingness there is in being yourself. It has at least the merit of simplicity, for it must surely be easier to be oneself than to be something or somebody else. Yet that is what so many are constantly trying to do. The self that is their own is not good enough for them, and so they are always trying to go one better than what God has made them, with endless strain and struggle as the consequence. Of course, they are right to put before them an ideal infinitely grander than anything they have yet attained. The only possible way of progress is by following an ideal that is always a stage ahead of us. But the mistake is in not seeing that its attainment is a matter of growth. And that growth must be the expansion of something that already exists in us, and therefore implies our being what we are and where we are as its starting point. This growth is a continuous process, and we cannot do next month's growth without first doing this month's. But we're always wanting to jump into some ideal of the future, not seeing that we can reach it only by steadily going on from where we are now. These considerations should make us more confident and more comfortable. Know that it's already inside you. The big change is inside, not outside of ourselves. It's right here, right now. So you start where you are and permit it to grow, to flow, to manifest into form. And that starts with getting a clear idea of what do you want for yourself? The pictures that you're holding in your mind, that you visualize, that you desire, whatever it is that you really want in the universe is yours. That you, Thomas Troward says, it's already inside of you. You just have to bring it out. Because these considerations should make us more confident and more comfortable. We are employing a force which is much greater than we believe ourselves to be, yet it is not separate from us and needing to be persuaded or compelled or inveigled into doing what we want. It is the substratum of our own being, which is continually passing up into manifestation on the visible plane and becoming that personal self to which we often limit our attention without considering whence it proceeds. But in truth, the outer self is the surface growth of that individuality which lies concealed far down in the deeps below, and which is none other than the spirit of life, which underlies all forms of manifestation. Thomas Troward also wrote the Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science, and he tells us that science is the effect of the spiritual side of us. And he said that science studies the effect while religion studies the cause. There is a power within each one of us that must be allowed to come to the surface. Troward says, endeavor to realize what this spirit of life must be in itself. That is to say, apart from any of the conditions that arise from the various relations which necessarily establish themselves between its various forms of individualization. In its homogeneous self, what else can it be but pure life, essence of life, if you like so to call it? Then realize that as essence of life, it exists in the innermost of every one of its forms of manifestation in as perfect simplicity as any we can attribute to it in our abstract conceptions. In this light, we see it to be the eternally self-generating power which, to express itself, flows into form. This universal essence of life is a continual becoming into form. And since we are a part of nature, we do not need to go further than ourselves to find the life-giving energy at work with all its powers. Hence, all we have to do is to allow it to rise to the surface. We do not have to make it rise any more than the engineer who sinks the bore pipe for an artesian well has to make the water rise in it. The water does that by its own energy, springing as a fountain 100 feet into the air. Just so we shall find a fountain of essence of life ready to spring up in ourselves, inexhaustible and continually increasing in its flow, as one taught long ago to a woman at a wayside well. We just have to accept we have it, increasing our awareness, to create awareness to start to use it. Recognize that it is within us. Don't fight the existing reality, but to start growing here and now, not jumping too far into the future, but simple growth, becoming aware of our infinite potential. In the chapter Yourself by Thomas Troward, in his book, The Hidden Power, he goes on to say, this upspringing of life essence is not another's, it is our own. It does not require deep studies, hard labors, weary journeyings to attain it. It is not the monopoly of this teacher or that writer whose lectures we must attend or whose books we must read to get it. It is the innermost of ourselves. And a little common sense thought as to how anything comes to be anything will soon convince us that the great inexhaustible life must be the very root and substance of us, permeating every fiber of our being. Surely to be this vast infinitude of living power must be enough to satisfy all our desires. And yet, this wonderful idea is nothing else but what we already are in principio. It is all there in ourselves now, only awaiting our recognition for its manifestation. As we think, our thoughts move into form. It is not the essence of life which has to grow, for that is eternally perfect in itself, but it is our recognition of it that it has to grow. And this growth cannot be forced. Bob Proctor always said, force negates. You just allow it to grow, to develop, to become. It must come by a natural process, the first necessity of which is to abstain from all straining after being something which at the present time we cannot naturally be. The law of our evolution has put us in possession of certain powers and opportunities, and our further development depends on our doing just what these powers and opportunities make it possible for us to do here and now. If we do what we are able to do today, it will open the way for us to do something better tomorrow. And in this manner, the growing process will proceed healthily and happily in a rapidly increasing ratio. This is so much easier than striving to compel things to be what they are not. And it is also so much more fruitful in good results. It is not sitting still doing nothing. And there's plenty of room for the exercise of all our mental faculties. But these faculties are themselves the outcome of the essence of life and are not the creating power, but only that which gives direction to it. Thomas Troward also wrote, The Creative Process of the Individual. Now it is this moving power at the back of the various faculties that is the true innermost self. And if we realize the identity between the innermost and the outermost, we shall see that we therefore have at our present disposal all that is necessary for our unlimited development in the future. Thus, our livingness consists simply in being ourselves, only more so. And in recognizing this, we get rid of a great burden of unnecessary straining and striving, and the place of the old strum and drang will be taken not by inertia, but by a joyous activity which knows that it always has the requisite power to manifest itself in forms of good and beauty. What matter it whither this leads us? If we are following the line of the beautiful and good, then we shall produce the beautiful and good, and thus bring increasing joy into the world, whatever particular form it may assume. You just have to focus on doing good work, doing the best that you are capable in the present moment, and all the good will just naturally flow to you. Troward says, when we limit ourselves when we try to fix accurately beforehand the particular form of good that we shall produce. We should aim not so much at having or making some particular thing as expressing all that we are. The expressing will grow out of realizing the treasures that are ours already and contemplating the beauty, the affirmative side of all that we are now, apart from the negative conceptions and detractions which veil this positive good from us. He's just talking about letting go of the negative and focusing on the positive. When we do this, we shall be astonished to see what possibilities reside in ourselves as we are and with our present surroundings, all unlovely as we may deem them, and commencing to work at once upon whatever we find of affirmative in these, and withdrawing our thought from what we have hitherto seen of negative in them, the right road will open up before us, leading us in wonderful ways to the development of powers that we never suspected, and the enjoyment of happiness that we never anticipated. Keep learning, keep growing, keep developing. You're never too old to learn, to develop, to become better and better, to create more of what you want. Bob Proctor would always say, you're either growing or dying. There's no standing still. You're either going into better, healthier, more abundance, or you're shrinking and deteriorating. Troward says, we have never been out of our right path, only we have been walking in it backwards instead of forwards. And now that we have begun to follow the path in the right direction, we find that it is none other than the way of peace, the path of joy, and the road to eternal life. These things we may attain by simply living naturally within ourselves. It is because we are trying so hard to be or do something which is not natural to us that we experience weariness and labor, where we should find all our activities joyously concentrated on objects which lead to their own accomplishment by the force of the love that we have for them. But when we make the grand discovery of how to live naturally, we shall find it to be all and more than all that we have ever desired. And our daily life will become a perpetual joy to ourselves, and we shall radiate light and life wherever we go. Just let the beautiful divine spark of infinite energy that is in you grow and develop and get better and better. The universe, you are part of this universe, and the universe is always for expansion and fuller expression. What you're wanting, what you're craving, what you're desiring is that life energy in you looking for fuller expression. That's not selfish, that's life force, wanting more life. The spirit of life underlies all forms of manifestation. The picture that you hold in your mind, what you really want to do, what you really want to have, you must become the person that has that. But you're starting from where you are and imagining what that more life feels like. How happy, how joyful, how peaceful, how loved. What other wonders are there available in this life? Focus on what's already here, what you're already grateful for, what brings you happiness. Center yourself in the feeling of that well-being, that being in the state of ease and flow. Permit it to grow and flow and continually manifest into form. We are always manifesting by what we're thinking and feeling. Troward says there is a livingness simply in being ourselves, only more so. You don't have to compare yourself to others. You don't have to try to mimic other people or beat yourself up because you don't have what you want to have. Troward says, we get rid of a great burden of unnecessary straining and striving, and not through inertia, but by a joyous activity which knows that it always has the requisite power to manifest itself in forms of good and beauty. It doesn't matter what you want. When you feel that it's already yours, I have already got what it takes. I'm growing into the better version of myself. Getting relaxed, getting into the state of being happy, the state of being joyful, the state of being relaxed, knowing that you are abundantly blessed, being grateful for all that you have, all that you've created, all that you've already accomplished, and knowing that your thoughts manifest your reality, catching your thoughts when they go to the negative, the jealous, the anxiety, the depression, the worry, the doubt, and turn them around. How can I help more people get into the habit of making other people feel good about themselves? Get into the habit of making people feel good just because you're in their presence. Increasing the thinking of abundance for all. So many people have thoughts of poverty and illness. When we hold the image of prosperity and health and vitality, our world changes. You can bring more light and life and love into the world just through your thought energy. Know that you already have what it takes. Troward says, put before you an ideal infinitely grander than anything that you have yet attained. The only possible way of progress is by following an ideal that is always a stage ahead of us. But don't see that but you Know that it is a matter of growth, and the growth must be the expansion of something that already exists in you. You are at the starting point. You've created your life as it is, and you want something more. You want to be better. You want to do better. You want to have better. As you think about what that looks like, what that feels like, visualize it. Get into the vibrational energy of well-being, at ease, happiness, and write out what you prefer, what you want, what you desire. It's not greed. It is the spirit of life force inside you wanting to express more, become more, live more life while you're here on this earth. Because when your physical body wears out, you return to infinite energy. Do the best that you can while you're here in this physical body to experience more life, more love, more prosperity, more abundance, more of everything you prefer. And then help other people get more of what they want. Nature is always for expansion and fuller expression. You're here to help the world become better. Permit the spirit to grow in you, to overflow, sending love out into the universe, attracting back to you everything that you're in harmony with. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Radiate love and kindness and prosperity, and watch how that all returns to you. Give and you receive. What you want, you have to start the process. Send out whatever you want to create and have faith that it's coming back to you. Write it down, focus on it, and become that version of you that has attained it. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning at 7 Central Standard Time. Thank you.